Libra.
Hello Libra, this is the astrological forecast for June 2016. And so this month for you, we have a lot now focused on the ninth house area, which has to do with your higher thinking, higher education, wanting to do your research, but also traveling, which this area is very well known for, as well as publishing and publishing houses and so forth, or also visas, the law. If you have anything ongoing, well, this is the month where your focus is going to be super sharp. So we have the sun, we got Venus, and we got the new moon in this area, allowing you now to kind of stretch that mind towards these higher goals and also be in contact with people at far away places, out of town, out of country, and so forth. And you might even come to meet people here from other cultures that might just be very helpful or supportive to you. We have the new moon there on the 4th at 14 degrees there in Gemini. And so this is the time that we plant our intentions for those visions that you hold, right? Even though they may not take place, shape and form right here now this month, it's okay to think about it. It's okay to visualize it and send it out to the universe, because the new moon in this area has the potential to stay with you for an entire year until the new moon in this area next year around the same time. Venus, though, here rules money, it rules love and romance and whatnot. It being in the sign of Gemini, well, this month you're going to hear yourself communicate, or at least want to communicate more about those romantic feelings that you have, and also the far-fetched goal that you have, that you right out there on the horizon. You might hear yourself sharing those goals with your partner this month. The sun in this area here in the sign of Gemini too will want you to express and communicate, as the Gemini energy is so famous for the gift of gab. And so you might find yourself here just really wanting to communicate, share your higher thoughts. And it might also just have you diving into the search engines, doing research and whatnot, because also the Gemini energy is all about knowledge and wanting to accumulate more knowledge. Then we have Mercury. Mercury now direct. It was retrograde April 28th to the 22nd. So it's picking up speed. It's still in your 8th house though. So Mercury rules communication. The 8th house area is all about the monies that you have with your partner, shared resources here, Libra. And of course that needn't just be with your significant other, but you might be overlooking or researching a little bit where your monies are going as far as savings, investments, and so forth. It could be royalties, commissions, but it's starting to pick up speed. It's giving you a little extra extended time here due to that retrograde in May to dig deep, make sure that you've got all your ducks in a row so that you're set for the rest of the year, where you won't have your focus in this area because you're going to be busy doing other things. So make sure you make the most out of it. Well, we're talking about retrogrades. Let me tell you though, 5 out of 8 planets retrograde there in May. They're starting to loosen up. Jupiter went direct there on May 9th or 10th, depending on where you live. So that's good. We always want Jupiter to be with us, right? Because it is what rules abundance and generosity and enthusiasm. And think about the size of that Jupiter, right? So that has been sleeping since January. Now it's moving forward. It's in your 12th house for your subconsciousness. It's a spiritual place, so you might find that you're dreaming a little bit more and that you're more attuned with that intuitive sense of self as well. So if your compass has been a little bit off here as of late, that is just because Jupiter hasn't been having that needle spin, but it's back on board with us. But Mars too, here until June 29th. Mars, which rules your goals, your dynamic physical energy, has been retrograding here in your 2nd house for money and income. So it has dipped back down into the sign of Scorpio, where it is currently here at 28 degrees of Scorpio. And it had already passed and concluded that area and moved into Sagittarius, but now backtracking is giving you that extra time to look over your income sector. Are you making enough? Can you make more? If so, how? Right? So your mind is going to be crunching numbers just to see how you can fit together maybe a little bit more of a good, solid, tight package for when it goes direct, because Mars will not be back here for another 2 years, right? So it's good that it's retrograding, giving you what I would like to say second chances, second options. Make sure that if you're going to have any talks or negotiations with your supervisor or your boss, this would be a time to talk about your income. Then we have Saturn will be retrograde to August 12th. Saturn rules our inner sense of authority. It's who we are when we make our judgments and create choices in our life. Are we doing things right or wrong? But that authority also extends externally out to outer authorities. So for you, that Saturn is retrograding right now in your area of the third house. Third house is all about communication, short distance travel. It's also our relationships with our siblings. So any outstanding karma that's kind of like just hanging, you might see between now and August 12th, 13th, depending on where you live, will be a time where you can go back over issues to make things right, to get your ducks in a row, to forgive and let go, let God. And so that this area can be really cleared out, because it's only once every 28 years Saturn moves in this area, and right now it's asking you to look at your relationships with your siblings, with your near community, your neighbors and so forth. There might be something there, and it will ask or call you to come forward and be of assistance, of help, and to make the best out of it. If not, then Saturn can be a little cold, you know, and shut off. Think about Saturn having rings, right? It might hold people out, and you might be the one holding your siblings out, or they might be holding you out, right? So the trick is how to get on the inside of those rings, right? To come on the inside, then you will be included again, or you might be including them, and then you're good to go for the long run. But this is what this retrograde is about for you, Libra. Then we have also Neptune is retrograde, and it will retrograde from June 14th straight through November 20th. So that's a lot of months. Neptune is all about our hopes, our dreams, our visions. It's our spiritual self. It's also that cosmic love. It's the higher octave of Venus, which rules love. So it's that ideal picture and feeling that we get. And Neptune for you is retrograding in your sixth house. It has to do with your day-to-day routine and so forth. And when Neptune works, it's all ideal, and it's smooth, and it's just beautiful. It's also very spiritual and creative. But right now, when we have a retrograde, we might find that our energy might be leaking. Water may be leaking. Pay attention to your faucets and so forth. There might be some leakages there, or a drain on your energy, or maybe there's somebody around you in your day-to-day life that you experience is draining your energy. So you're going to have to deal with it. And then we have Pluto, the last planet here, retrograde, which will be to September 26th. Pluto is the power within our lives that regenerates our energies. It also rules beginnings and endings. So Pluto for you is the fourth house, ruling home, foundation, family, who you are on the inside. So you might find yourself now being more focused on working on your foundation of life, or the foundation of your home, or within family life and structure. Pluto is fantastic in the sense that it can work miracles when it really touches upon your personal transits in a good way, because then we have this sense of rebirth, liberation, and freedom into a new cycle of life. But right now, we're retrograding. We're looking to the past, what we can fix and tweak, renew, so that we're good to go here after September 26th. But this month, the transits, what we're going to be encountering on a day-to-day basis, May started out really well. Those first 2 weeks, if you go back and re-listen to it, really started off wonderfully, and then it kind of fizzled towards the end of the month with a little bit more of trying aspects. And we have that here in June as well. When we start off here on the 1st, we have the Sun. The Sun is always you, and then we have Venus, which rules love, but also money, is coming into a square to this Neptune retrograde. So we want to make sure that whatever it is we're saying, sharing, listening to, that we hear it right, or that we express ourselves clearly. Because Neptune can cause and create a foggy situation, very unclear ways of relaying information. And so we don't want confusion, especially when it's retrograde. You might say something one way and then it's being picked up in a totally different way. And then on the 3rd, those same two planets, the Sun and Venus, are going to be opposed to Saturn. So if it wasn't clear, then you have a situation where you could be met with, well, you said this, and you said that, and you would turn around and say, that's not what I said at all. This is what I said. So it's in the communication of expressing, but also how we're receiving. So we might hear something that we think we're hearing when the truth is something else. Just a little bit extra focus here. Top of the month, the first 3 days are important. Then on the 9th, here Libra, Mercury, which rules communication, is going to be opposed to Mars, which rules action. So we have communication, the way our mind thinks, might be heading 100 miles an hour that direction, and Mars this direction. And Mars rules our physical energy, our actions and goals. And so they're not really coming together, and when we're split like that, well, then we can experience small accidents. We might stumble over our feet, or we might just run into the door on the way out, that kind of thing, because we're not really aligned, okay? So pay attention to the 9th. And then the 12th and 14th, though, beautiful days. This is when both the Sun and Venus will be aspecting, a beautiful aspect to Uranus, the planet of the unexpected. So here you can have some great unexpected news. For you, it's coming from an area here between the 9th and 10th house. So, and Uranus, the 7th house, which has to do with relationships. Now, sure, that can be your significant other. You might hear news from him or her where something is going on in their career, or it could be you having some good career news that you will be sharing with your partner. So that is probably the highlights of the month before we get to the end of the month. But then here, 17th, running straight through the 20th, we have some more challenges. This is Saturn, again, our own inner sense of authority or external authority or karma is squaring off on Neptune. Remember, Neptune is in a very weak spot right now. There could be confusion and the way things are being presented. Saturn always wants reality. It wants facts, right? And Neptune is very lofty up here. So they're going to have a little bit of a clash, and then it's going to have to be worked through a few days in the aftermath through the 20th, because Mercury, communication here, is going to try to arrest that Saturn, saying, well, I heard you said this, and then you will hear the person saying, no, this is what we were talking about, or vice versa. The same thing as the beginning of the month. And it could even have to do with that same situation. Mercury will be squaring off on Neptune, again, something that was related not the way it was meant to be. So the square off on Neptune and the opposition to Saturn is like, yeah. So we want to lay low, make sure that we're extremely as clear as we can be, just for the higher sake and purpose, for the better of everybody involved. But on the 20th, we have the full moon. And that is going to be illuminating the third house area for you. 29 degrees in Sagittarius, the very last degree there. And that has to do with siblings, it has to do with short distance travel, it has to do with communication, presentations, but also people involved in your closer community. And it's going to bleed straight into those first few hours, bleed into that fourth house, which has to do with family. So if you have like a family reunion, get together, well then the stage is illuminated by this beautiful full moon in Sagittarius. Then we come to the end of the month, Libra. Jupiter, and I'm so happy to say, because now Jupiter is moving forward, and Jupiter will always have your back, wanting the best for you. A beautiful golden beam to Pluto. Pluto, which represents that pivotal point of transformation. Jupiter in your 12th house is bringing to you something that I feel you've been sensing or been thinking about, working with, should I say, but behind the scenes for a while, because she's been sleeping and she is in that hidden house, the area of the 12th, but now waking up and beaming on to Pluto here in the 4th house. So that would be great news having to do with the family or from a family member. It could also be real estate if you're thinking about moving, buying, selling, whatnot, but this should be a beautiful day, the 26th of June, followed by the 27th, when Venus, which rules not just romance, but also money, coming into a beautiful being to Neptune. So there you have it. The end of the month is starting to lift you up on a beautiful way, and your tarot scopes for June will give you even more insight as to what you can come to expect this month. So I'd say go listen to them too, and I'll see you there in July. Have a good one now, Libra.